Is it normal to masturbate in old age, especially for men over 70? Let's be real for a moment. This is the kind of question most men never dare to ask out loud, but silently carry around for years. I'm Dr. Serena Miller, a men's health physician who's spent decades walking beside older men, husbands, veterans, grandfathers, and the quiet giants of their families, helping them rediscover strength and intimacy and vitality without shame or dependence on quick fixes. And today we're going to do something important. We're going to break the silence. No judgment, no embarrassment. Just real talk about something that matters more than most people realise. Because the truth? The answer to this question might just surprise you and even set you free. Stick around until the end, because secret number 5 may be the one mindset shift that reconnects you to your own body, restores confidence, and helps you feel fully alive again. And before we dive in, if you're ready to take your health seriously, your real specific male health after 70, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and stay in the loop. Because this isn't just another health lecture. It's a conversation most men were never permitted to have. If this message hits home, type 1 in the comments so I know you're here. And if it doesn't quite land, type 0. Either way, your feedback helps me make this space more valuable for you. All right, let's get started. First off, let's make one thing crystal clear. Yes, it is normal for men over 70 to masturbate. In fact, not only is it normal, but many doctors consider it a healthy and meaningful part of aging. But let's go a little deeper, because the real question isn't just about what's normal. It's about what's still meaningful, what's healthy, and what still feels right for your body, your mind, and your emotional well-being. According to the National Poll on Healthy Aging, nearly 40% of men in their 70s remain sexually active, and that includes solo activity. So if you're still experiencing desire, you are far from alone. There's this outdated idea floating around that sexuality just shuts off with age, like flipping a switch. But that's not how biology or emotion works. Sexual expression doesn't come with an expiration date. It evolves, yes, but it doesn't disappear unless you silence it. And masturbation, it's more than just a release. For many older men, it becomes a way to stay connected to themselves, to remember that they are still alive, still feeling, still capable of pleasure. Medically speaking, masturbation can actually support better sleep, help reduce stress, and even improve prostate function by helping to keep fluids moving and circulation active. That's not just comforting, it's practical healthcare. Let me share a story with you. A man named Henry, 76, sat in my office not long ago. Former high school coach, father of 3, widower. He looked at me and said, "Doc, I feel silly bringing this up, but is it okay that I still do it?" His eyes darted down when he asked, like he was confessing something wrong. I told him what I've told countless men before him. Not only is it okay, Henry, it might be one of the healthiest things you're still doing for yourself. Henry explained how it helped him fall asleep at night, how it eased the loneliness he felt after his wife passed, how it was sometimes the only moment in the day he truly felt at peace in his own body. And yet, he had carried around guilt for years, because no one ever told him it was not just permissible, but normal. He smiled at me and said, "You know, no one's ever talked to me about this like that before. I thought I was just being weird. But here's the truth. There is nothing weird about staying in touch with your own body. Ignoring that part of yourself, especially as you age, can slowly rob you of connection, confidence, and even circulation. When practiced mindfully and respectfully, solo intimacy becomes more than just physical. It becomes reassurance, self-respect, and a quiet declaration that you still matter. So yes, if you're in your 70s and you still have desire, or even just curiosity, know this: your body is not betraying you. It's reminding you that you're still here, and honouring that truth is a powerful act of health, not shame. Whether it's once a week or once a month, whether it's physical or simply emotional, if it brings you comfort, clarity, or calm, then it's worth holding space for. And if no one else has told you lately, let me say it plainly. You are not alone. You are not broken. You are not past your prime. You're simply learning to listen to your body in a new way. And that is something to be proud of. Let's talk about Frank. He's 74 years old, a retired postal worker from a quiet town in Ohio. For most of his life, Frank was a man of steady routines, early mornings, long walks, and a deep devotion to his family. But everything shifted when his wife passed away 3 years ago. Suddenly the house felt silent. Meals were quiet. Nights stretched longer. And in that quiet, something unexpected began to surface. An ache, not just for companionship, but for intimacy. At first, Frank didn't know what to do with it. He described it as confusing, even a little embarrassing. He told his doctor during a regular checkup, "It feels weird to still want that part of myself at my age." That sentence held decades of silence. It was honest, vulnerable, and deeply human. But here's what his doctor told him. Your desire isn't something to be ashamed of. It's a sign that you're alive and still in touch with yourself. That one sentence changed everything for Frank. What he once saw as shameful, he now views as self-care. And that's something many older men need to hear more often. Because we live in a culture that often tells men over 70 to quietly let go of that part of themselves, as if desire has a deadline or connection is reserved only for the young. But that simply isn't true. Frank began to explore solo intimacy again, not out of lust or fantasy, but from a place of healing. He wasn't chasing the past. He was honouring the present. He said it helped him sleep. It helped him feel less alone. And most importantly, it reminded him that he still matters, not just as a grandfather or neighbour, but as a man who still feels. That kind of reconnection doesn't require a partner. It requires permission, the kind that starts inside. For many men, especially those who have lost a spouse or been single for years, the idea of returning to solo touch can stir up a surprising mix of emotions: guilt, grief, longing. But none of those feelings are wrong. They're reminders that sexuality isn't just about the body. It's about identity, memory, and resilience. And when you allow yourself to experience those feelings without judgment, you're not just taking care of your physical health, you're restoring your emotional one too. Frank's story is powerful because it's so ordinary. He didn't go searching for magic pills or quick fixes. He simply listened to what his body and heart were trying to say. And slowly, night by night, he began to rebuild a quiet connection to himself that had been buried under years of duty, responsibility, and loss. He told me, "I didn't think I was allowed to feel that way anymore. But now I see. It's not about age. It's about presence. That's the truth more older men need to hear. You're not wrong for wanting to feel. You're not selfish for seeking peace through your own body. You're not weak for carrying emotion with your desire. You're human, and honouring that part of yourself, gently, privately, honestly, isn't something to be hidden. It's something to be respected. Just like Frank learned, your desire is not a problem to solve. It's a part of you that deserves care, patience, and kindness. And maybe, just maybe, it's the part that brings you back to life again. Masturbation and mental wellness, two words you don't often hear in the same sentence, but maybe it's time we did. For many men over 70, especially those navigating life after retirement, loss, or transition, the benefits of mindful self-touch go far beyond the physical. Masturbation isn't just about release, it's about regulation. Emotional, psychological, even neurological. Let's unpack that. When you engage in solo intimacy, your brain releases dopamine and oxytocin. These aren't just pleasure chemicals. They're the same ones responsible for helping you feel grounded, emotionally connected, and mentally clear. Dopamine uplifts mood and motivation, while oxytocin, the so-called bonding hormone, promotes feelings of warmth, safety, and trust. That matters. Especially if you're living alone, sleeping in a quiet house, or carrying silent stress without someone to talk to. These biochemical signals remind your nervous system you are still alive. You are still capable of feeling good. Take Thomas, for example. He's 76, a former high school basketball coach from Indiana. After his wife passed and his children moved out of state, the days began to stretch longer than he expected. He wasn't depressed, not in the clinical sense, but he said he felt foggy, like the spark had faded from his routine. It was during a wellness workshop that the topic of male self-care came up, and someone asked him if he still allowed himself pleasure. He hesitated, then admitted, "I stopped years ago." It felt kind of pointless without someone there, but what Thomas didn't realise was that the absence of a partner didn't mean the absence of need or value. When he began practicing solo touch again, not out of fantasy but out of kindness toward himself, he noticed something interesting. He started sleeping better. He woke up less stiff, less anxious. He found himself smiling more often, even cracking jokes with his neighbours again. I guess I forgot what peace felt like, he told me. This reminded me. That's the deeper truth here. Masturbation, when done with intention, isn't about escaping reality. It's about engaging with it, slowing down, feeling your breath, coming back to your body in a world that constantly pulls you away from it. And in doing so, you anchor yourself. You quiet the mental noise. You affirm, in a private yet powerful way, that you're still capable of joy, sensation, and presence. In many ways, self-touch can become a form of mindfulness, just as valid as meditation, walking, or journaling. It reconnects your senses. It signals to your brain that pleasure isn't over, even if your life looks different than it once did. And for men who've been taught for decades to be stoic, silent, or emotionally distant, that reconnection can be healing in ways far beyond the physical. So, if you've been wondering whether it's normal or necessary to still touch yourself at this age, consider this. It's not just about libido. It's about mental wellness, emotional grounding, and self-recognition. Just like Thomas discovered, sometimes all it takes is a small act of presence to reignite something quiet but powerful inside. You deserve that peace. You deserve to feel whole again, not despite your age, but because of it. What if you're not feeling it anymore? What if, instead of curiosity or desire, all you feel is nothing? That's not something men talk about easily, but it's far more common than you might think. Maybe you're watching this and thinking, this is all great, but I haven't felt that way in years. If so, know this, you're not broken, you're not alone, and you're not the only man in his 70s who feels disconnected from that part of himself. Desire isn't a constant. It ebbs and flows with age, energy, emotional health, medications, and life events. It can be dampened by grief, illness, hormonal shifts, or even long-term stress. Sometimes it's not even about sex at all. It's about feeling disconnected from your own body, your identity, your sense of self. And yes, that's normal too, but here's the important part. If that disconnection starts to feel heavy, if you're not just uninterested but also numb, restless, or worried that something deeper might be going on, it might be time to talk to your doctor. This isn't about being dramatic, it's about being honest. Because sometimes low desire is a signal that your testosterone levels may be dipping too low, a signal that your cardiovascular system needs support, or even a signal that your emotional health needs more attention than you've given it lately. I once worked with a man named Richard. He was 78, a retired firefighter from Boston. Tough as nails on the outside, but when he came in for his annual checkup, he hesitated before saying, "Doc, I haven't felt anything for months, no interest, no drive, and it's starting to bother me more than I want to admit." At first he thought it was just aging, but a few simple blood tests showed something else. His testosterone was significantly low, and his sleep patterns were irregular. With some lifestyle adjustments and supportive care, his energy started returning. But more than that, his sense of self came back. "I didn't even know how much I missed feeling like me," he later said. That's the heart of the matter. Losing interest doesn't mean you've lost your manhood. But ignoring the signs, that can rob you of the chance to feel better, whether it's hormonal, emotional, or simply circumstantial. There are solutions. And there is no shame in asking for help. So if you're on the other side of the conversation, if you're not feeling any desire and wondering if you should be concerned, the answer is, it depends. If you're content, let that be your truth. But if something inside you is asking questions, if a quiet voice is saying, "This doesn't feel like me," then don't push it aside. Ask, speak, explore. Because reconnecting isn't just about sex. It's about restoring vitality, agency, and the deep inner knowing that you're still alive, still whole, and still deserving of attention, pleasure, and peace. Whatever season of life you're in, your story matters, and so does your well-being. A healthy approach, that's what it comes down to. If you do choose to masturbate, the key isn't how often or even whether you do it at all. It's how you approach it. At this stage in life, it's not about chasing performance. It's about cultivating presence. Instead of rushing through it like a task to get over with, think of it as a moment of self-care, just like stretching your body in the morning, preparing a good meal, or taking a quiet walk after dinner. It's not indulgence, it's attention. One of my longtime patients, Jerry, a 76-year-old former engineer from Minnesota, once told me something I'll never forget. "For most of my life," he said, "it was always about the result. quick, quiet, done. But now I pause. I take my time. I treat it like it matters. What changed for Jerry wasn't just his body. It was his relationship to it. After decades of brushing aside his own needs, he realised that this part of himself deserved the same care and attention he gave to the rest of his health. That shift didn't just improve his mood, it brought back a quiet confidence he hadn't felt in years. Too often, older men carry guilt or shame from outdated messages. They think, is this still appropriate? Or what if someone found out? But let's set the record straight. Masturbation, when approached with mindfulness and respect, is not a moral failure. It's a physical act. It's an emotional release. And sometimes it's a spiritual reconnection. At its best, it becomes a way of tuning into your breath, your rhythm, your sensations. It becomes less about the climax and more about grounding yourself in the present moment. Think of it this way. When you were younger, your body often dictated the pace. Now, you get to choose it. And with that choice comes power. Instead of reacting to urges, you respond to needs. You listen, you create space. And in that space, something beautiful happens. You feel whole again. Not because your body is the same as it was at 30, but because your presence is stronger than it's ever been. And let's be honest, life at this age comes with its fair share of challenges. Aches, medications, loneliness, transitions. So why not honour the few simple rituals that help you stay connected to yourself? Whether it's a quiet bath, a slow walk, or, yes, a mindful moment of self-pleasure, it's all part of the same language. I still care for myself. So if you choose to continue this practice, do it intentionally. Set the mood. Turn off distractions. Breathe deeply. Let go of the pressure to perform. Replace it with permission to feel. This isn't about proving anything. It's about being with yourself in the most honest, gentle way possible. And if it feels awkward at first, that's okay. You're relearning a part of yourself with new wisdom. The same way we adapt how we eat, move, and rest as we age, we can also adapt how we experience touch, connection, and pleasure. In the end, it's not about youth. It's about care. And care, especially self-care, has no expiration date. So, is it normal to masturbate at 70 or older? Not only is it normal, it's healthy, personal, and entirely your choice. You don't need permission to feel. You don't need a timeline to stop. And you certainly don't need to apologise for being human. If this video helped you feel seen, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Drop a comment below. Have you ever struggled with this topic? What helped you feel more at peace with it? And don't forget to subscribe to Elderly Wisdom Stories for more honest, respectful, and empowering conversations about aging with strength, clarity, and dignity.